Hi there. Today I wanted to share with you a few important instructions and that I got directly in dreams over the years, which were obviously instructions for me for when I was doing the work, but which can be really useful to you as well, especially to those of you who have been listening to me or reading me over the years, when I always emphasize that you need to look inward as such, and that the recovery of the inner voice is so important. That the series that I've just finished and I've posted here on YouTube, you can stay with the question, and the question will be answered for you from within as soon as as long as you stay with the question. And so these are insights that I got directly in dreams over the years, insights that were given to me at the time when I was looking for solutions. I felt that my work wasn't going all that well, and I needed some help. So I stayed with the questions like, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? Why am I? Why the creativity isn't really flowing? Not that I am, being such a artist or creative that I must be creative every day. But at that time, what I was actually working more with was symbols, like I described in my book, Where We Dream the Single Dream. Nearly every day for years and years, I worked with symbols. That is to say, I would pick a symbol, let's say West, and I would go to Wikipedia and I would look for its meaning in culture, especially in religion, in mythology, and follow the links, the intuitive connections to West. The journey to the Buddha is going west, for instance, and nearly all afterlives are situated in the Western mythology. I learned that while working with the symbols. And when you stop being intuitive, when it stops flowing, when the connection between you and the spirit is kind of severed for some reason, you feel that it's not happening spontaneously. It's like you have to try hard rather than it being easy. It's kind of flowing. It just happens of itself, yeah? So these are some of the more important instructions that I got over the years, how to recover that spontaneity again, how to recover this intuitive flow and just go with it, and see what happens. And most of my instructions, the most important instructions, have always been in dreams. So this is one of the dreams that I received not so long ago, only maybe a year or so ago, and it was after I had a bit of I shouldn't say a hard time, but someone having a discussion on Facebook with someone that interpreting the dreams is interpreting dreams through not just as personal association, but actually looking at dreams in mythology and the symbology, understanding the language, the collective unconscious is more important than just personal associations. And the person that I was trying to teach this to wouldn't have any of it, they were taught that it's only by personal association, and that works for her and everything else, but I saw in her work, in her poetry and so on, that there was very little of the collective psyche. the archetypal psyche, which is what you're trying to rediscover with doing this work. This is the spiritual work, to rediscover the missing half of your psyche, not just the personal half, the biographical things, your tradition, what you learned, your particular family, your tradition, your country, your language, and where you belong to, your address or your name. That's the biographical half, which is easy to understand. It's the deeper half, when I say going inward and deeper inward, that's what I mean. This is going to the collective unconscious side, to the deeper, the intuitive mind. You could say the personal mind is your rational mind. The deeper mind is, which all of humanity shares, is the mythological mind or the intuitive mind. I say intuitive because most of the symbols, the collective symbols regarding this mind are symbols of the soul, symbols of the intuition. So you got your bird, your water, your tree, a rock, cave. These are all symbols of heaven, west. These are all symbols of going to the center, to the most inward center. Yeah? So I was having this conversation with this person back and forth, and she kept on insisting that it's just personal association that works for her. And I said, you're not going to really get anything. You're not going to recover the collective unconscious, the mythological mind, the intuitive mind. You're not going to heal the split between you and spirit, because spirit dwells on that level. You're not going to actually see it reflected in everything, in other people, if you just work with your own personal dream content all the time. And of course, she wouldn't have it. So I had a dream one of the nights. I think the conversation went over 2 days. And one of the nights when I was having this conversation, I was thinking, well, how can I get through to this person that this is important? And this is the dream I've had. So I'm climbing a mountain, which is quite a normal, I've climbed quite a lot of mountains in my dreams, but so this is just another time, because I should say I'm climbing the mountain again. I reach the apex, and at the apex I find 2 people, 2 elderly gentlemen sitting around a table, a coffee table, in the chairs. One is Carl Jung, smoking his pipe, and he's in a conversation with another man. The other man I didn't recognize, but it could have been any one of the people that Carl Jung was closely associated with. There was a mythologist, and I don't remember, what was his name? I don't remember his name. Anyway, they're sitting in conversation. I come up to them. This is at the apex at the mountain. And he notices, he sees me. Jung sees me. I take out a packet of tarot cards and start to shuffle them, and want to throw the cards on the table to see what I need to do next. And Jung says, give me the cards. So I gave him the tarot cards. He shuffles them again and takes out first card, then second and third, points on one to the middle and says, this is what you have to communicate to the people, to the community. Yeah? And the first card was 6 of Wands, which is, a man on a horse with a wand, and the wand has it's got a summer, what do you call them, the circle made out of flowers and so on around it. In other words, what he was pointing to, there's 3 cards, there's one on the left, one on the right, he's pointing to the one in the middle, to the center. And he says, this is what you have to communicate to people. In other words, what he was saying is, the best opportunity for you to explain what you're trying to say is to teach the person to find the center. Once they find the center, the images will come, and they might start getting interested in something more than just their own personal unconscious. In other words, he was saying, help them find the center. This is where it's at. This is what's most important. So this was the first instructions that I wanted to share with you regarding finding this collective unconscious level. because climbing the mountain is not a personal thing. It's not something that you associate personally. In all of mythologies, in all of human culture, you will find someone climbing to the apex of a mountain. Yeah, you've got, for instance, Shiva, the Hindu god of the image of the spirit. He lives up on the apex of a mountain. When Black Elk, the North American Sioux Indian shaman, he was only 9 years old and he had a vision, great vision, and he climbed to the apex of a mountain. And that's where he had his vision of the great tree around which his hoop tribe was part of all the hoops of all the tribes. So the oneness. So this is the collective unconscious. The mountain motif repeats in all mythology. So it's not personal, it's collective. Another example would be, again at the same situation, I'm feeling kind of lost and I don't know which way to turn. Working with symbols, being creative, it's not flowing again. And this is the dream. I'm inside perhaps a university as such. Old. This is not new. This is old. It felt like at least a couple of thousand years old. Old stone buildings. Open courtyard. We're in the middle of the courtyard, so we're in the center again, see? I'm standing next to an old man. He's wearing long robes. I don't remember the color now. With a beard. The archetypal old wise old man, yeah? There's a cross painted in the center of the square. A cross. A white cross. He points with his finger at this cross and he says, you always have to put your head here. You see? At the center. This is the goal of all spiritual practice, to find the center, to work from the center. Even in sports or any creative activity, you're at your best when you're centered. Then something happens, something else takes over and you're actually doing extra human activities. Yeah? After receiving that instructions, of course, I went back to my symbols and I just followed intuitively what links to what relates to what. And when you do that, when you start working with the symbols and you associate the symbols, like using, internet is great because you can follow the links. This relates to this relates to this. And suddenly you will realize that many of your own dreams that you've had similar symbols. So you start to associate what you've learned, what you read about that symbol, for instance, in Wikipedia on the internet, to your own inner mythology. Your mythology, personal mythology on the collective level, and the mythology of humanity is exactly the same. Everyone's been climbing the mountain, not just me. Dante climbed the mountain, in Paradiso. Remember that? Yeah. So that's the same. Following his muse, his guide. I forget her name now. Anyway. Another similar situation. I'm find myself in a landscape, in a classroom, I think, of some sort. It's here again, it looks like an older man, a teacher. He comes to me and he's holding in his right hand a crescent, a white crescent moon, sort of a thing. He shows it to me and he says, you always have to use this. And the white crescent moon, that's the crescent moon of intuition. That's what I'm trying to communicate with everything, whether I write about it, whether I'm doing the videos like I'm doing, or I'm talking to people one-on-one. It is the recovery of your intuition, but not intuition in the sense of your personal level. It's like, oh, will I get rich? Tell me how I'm going to find the next best lover. Or what should I eat today for lunch? Intuition will help you with that too. But intuition as a teacher to help you to recover your own collective unconscious, the deeper mythological mind. You see what I'm saying? So you can heal the split between your personal mind and the collective mind. The rational mind and the intuitive mind. The intuitive mind, the collective mind, the soul of humanity. So that's what it means. If it's, I don't remember if it's now left-handed or right-handed, it is the newborn moon. And that is the rebirth of intuition, of the soul, after the dark moon, right? Dark moon is going inward. The waning moon, the waning or the waxing moon, before it goes to the dark moon, that's when your journey begins. The dark moon is inward, being inward, and the newborn is coming back with the treasure of intuition, so it can teach you what you need to know about the mythological mind of humanity. Okay, so you can heal the split. Another one is on a similar theme. I'm climbing again, but this time to the top of a building. I think I shared this dream with you before. Again, I was kind of lost. I didn't know which way to turn. I've lost the intuition, in other words. I've lost the center. I'm off center. I climbed to the top of a building, and there I find a small dwarf. You know, maybe he was 3 feet tall. Old dwarf with long beard, something like from Lord of the Rings, wearing green. He looks at me, he waves his finger like this, and he says, "Your problem is disbelief. Fly, fly and believe." And I thought, yeah, in the dream, and I thought, yes, he's right. You know, I stopped believing that I can do this, that I can intuitively work, you know. And which is, in dreams, using your intuition is flying. That's why many symbols of the soul are birds, for instance. Some of the oldest symbols of the soul are birds. That's your intuition. And in that moment when I said that to myself, yes, I can fly, I just kind of willed myself to lift off the building. I lifted off, I floated, and then I flew. And I was flying above the buildings, above the trees, yeah, you know, and I thought, oh, I'm not afraid of this anymore. This is fine, I can do this. And I glanced to my left and someone was flying with me. And then I looked closer and it was a lady, my lady soul. She was dressed in her glowing white gown, flowing long hair. She's flying next to me and she says, "Marek, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to worry, because I'm always with you, always next to you." So when you're centered, you're not alone. The soul, the spirit, the intuition is with you. And that's feminine. That's the divine feminine. Many people don't understand what the divine feminine is. The divine feminine is, in an essence, is wisdom or insights received directly from you, from within you, like I am telling you now, in dreams and visions and intuition. You know, you might be reading a book and suddenly a line or a phrase or a word just jumps at you. Or you're working with symbols and the symbol just intuitively connects to the symbols that you had in the dream. You know, the little dwarf connects to the dwarf that you read in mythology. The climbing of the mountain connects to the climbing of the mountain by Dante or Shiva. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. Religion, all religion means the same thing as in mythology. Is the recovery of the center, recovery of the divinity that you are within when you find it within the center. That was what the whole Dante's journey up to the heaven was. When you looked into the white rose, and then his muse, his guide, his feminine, Beatrice, that's her name, she showed him the light. You know, the point, the center. This is what you are. You are that light. Do you understand? You are that divine spark that belongs to the greater flame. You're that thing. So let me think another one. Another one, exactly same situation, so similar situation. I didn't want to do the work anymore. I was sort of rebelling against it. I haven't completed the work yet, so there was still more to do. This time I find myself again in a setting of a university. We're inside a room which is perfectly round. There's students that sit at an angle like this on all sides, and my desk was right in the center. And this is not just a lecture room like a university, but this was also a library that contained the books of the whole culture of humanity. So there's your collective unconscious, see? And that's where I was working. I had my locker in there was a lunchroom there, I remember, and my desk was just right in the center of that. And the teacher was an old priest this time. Old priest, I remember wearing his robes and so on. To me, priests are also symbols of the introverted, of looking inward, that's why the teacher is the priest. And I didn't want to do the work. And I was tired of it at that time. And this was the dream that was, just telling me, you still have work to do, it's not finished. And there I am. I'm not sitting at my desk in the center. I was sitting out the top somewhere with someone, I can't remember who. And the priest comes to me and he says, you will kneel before me. In other words, you have to go and do the work, what I tell you to do. The work's not finished. And I looked at him and said, I don't kneel before anybody. And I walked out. I walked out the room, I walked out the university, and then I'm walking just out. I'm walking with someone, I can't remember who it was. I'm walking out, and a great voice behind me says, now you're gonna be all alone. So you see what I mean? When you're not centered, when you've lost the center, when you're not intuitively flowing, and I don't mean you need to be like this every day, but if the more you do it, the easier it would be to find that center, to be centered, and to be not alone. You will have guidance and help from the other side. That is so important to understand. That in this society, this kind of culture where we are all separate from each other, we only communicate maybe on Facebook through Messenger now and then, or something like write emails to each other. People hardly ever sit and talk face to face nowadays. And there's a pandemic of loneliness. So if you can find this spirit guidance within you, you're never alone, because something always speaks to you. That's the inner voice. Something always guides you and helps you in your dreams. So the cure for loneliness, you could say, is finding the center. And then once you find the center, you find the spirit, the guidance, the inner voice, the dreams, like I just told you, that were instructing me. It will help you to find others that are like you. So you don't need to be around the people that don't believe in this stuff, which is very hard life. You can become psychotic if you are already connected to the larger dimension of the soul, to the collective unconscious. You're already centered. People will not understand your actions, your decisions, the way you want to live, or what you have to do. How can you explain to someone, in my dream I was told that I have to go here or there or do something like this? Something which is completely different to what the family, friends, your partner or culture is communicating to you that you should be doing. I write about this in my book, Where We Dreamed a Single Dream. When I had a dream that I'm going to have to go to Scandinavia, I was in the middle of flowering Korea, if you like, at 26 years old, earning great money and everything. I could never have hoped to explain this to my family, that I'm giving it all up. I'm going to travel for a while, see what happens. When I did this, and I write this in the book, you know, the phone is like this. Yeah, because it's completely going against what you're supposed to be doing. So when you find that center, when you recover the intuition again, the divine feminine, that's your divine, the core of the divine feminine is intuition. Feeling is important because it opens your heart to compassion, to love, to understanding other people. But feeling is more one-on-one. Intuition gets you wider and deeper. That is the core of the feminine. That's the divine feminine. If you look over the years, over the ages, over the thousands of years that people have been following religion and mythology or been painting on the cave walls, 15, 20, 30, 40,000, the figurines of the goddess, you know, that is intuition. That's not, as some people interpret, that this is earth or this is fertility or something. Fertility of the spirit, yes. Fertility of intuition, creativity, yes. But not fertility as it means fertility to bring forth babies, you know. Fertility of the intuitive mind, I agree with that. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. It's one of those things that is really difficult to communicate because not many people, actually a lot of people have experiences, dreams and visions and intuitive insights. The problem is understanding them, because the soul, you know, the collective unconscious, it has its own language, and either you make the effort to learn the language, which working with symbols can help. Reading Jung, not so much from cover to cover, but you go to the index. You had a, let's say, dream. You've had a dream of climbing a mountain, and you start looking at the mountain, and then you read what he describes in a dream or how he interprets the meaning of a mountain. You can do that exactly the same with Joseph Campbell's books or Marie-Louise von Franz's books. Depth psychology. Or you work with someone who understands this language of dreams. I already work with people one-on-one. They bring their dreams and I interpret the dreams for them. Sometimes it's not just a matter of interpreting everything, but matter of knowing what to say or what not to say. So that takes time and training to do as well. So that's what I wanted to communicate today. If you do have dreams, and if you want to go dive deeper into this subject of understanding the symbols, how to reach the center, I do one-on-one sessions. I have details on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page, on my Twitter. So don't be shy, get in touch with me. There is a sliding scale fee. So that's it covers everyone. Look inward, listen to your dreams, listen to visions. If you think you don't remember your dreams, or maybe should I say, if you think you don't dream, you dream. Everybody dreams. It's not... Okay, my camera is just telling me that's it. So I'll see you next time, okay?